Welcome to Here to Serve, a United Regional podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Graves. My favorite part of being the Director of Patient Experience at United Regional is the incredible people that I meet and work with on a daily basis, and I want you to meet them too. Join us to meet the people behind the badge and to highlight those who are here to serve. All right, Dr. Coleman, welcome to the Here to Serve podcast. I'm excited for this one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, tell us who you are and what you do at United Regional.
Okay, so my name is Alan Coleman. I am the one of the acute care and trauma surgeons at the hospital. I am also serving the roles of, amongst other things, trauma medical director and wound care medical director.
Okay.
And I also shout out to Burke Burnett, but I'm also the Burke Burnett Fire Department medical director.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a couple other little titles here and there,
Yeah.
but those are kind of the big ones.
Okay. So for United Regional, trauma medical director and wound care.
Correct.
Medical director. I didn't know about the wound care. I knew that you were trauma. I was going to ask you for a fun fact, but the Burke Burnett Fire Department, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good fun fact.
There are a ton of fun facts about me because I'm just a fun fact.
Okay, give me some more. I got to know. Give me some more fun facts.
No,
the people that work with you may not know necessarily.
Let's see. I am half Filipino.
Okay.
So my mom's from the Philippines.
Okay.
I have multiple tattoos.
Okay.
And so that's kind of
What's your favorite?
My favorite
tattoo?
Oh, so I have these sleeves that I just did on my arms that were probably consecutive the last 2 years. And those are my favorite right now because they're one of the newest. I kind of helped design those, and
that's cool.
They represent both sides of my ethnicity.
Okay.
So this side, which is my dominant side, is representing my African background, and then the left side represents my Filipino background.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, and so
really cool.
I was really happy about these.
Yeah, man. Anything else? Other fun facts? I could do this all day. This is stuff I'm into.
I used to break dance in high school.
All right, well now we don't have space in here, but we're definitely gonna have to have a demo. Break dance, okay? Like just for fun,
now.
competition.
I'm 43 years old.
I mean a little bit. You can do something, like at least one move, right? That's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. I think I know one breakdance move. I may have to show you. I'll show you, and you can give me some tips on it.
Sounds good.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. Talking about your background a little bit, I'm always fascinated how people end up where they are, in the roles they are, in the location they are. You know, it's always fascinating to me. So let me ask you this: did little Dr. Coleman know he wanted to be a surgeon, and how did that happen? How did you become a surgeon?
Little Dr. Coleman did not know anything about doing anything other than watching cartoons on Saturday morning. And so my background is I was raised in Dallas, born and raised in Dallas. I had a kind of a poor background. My parents were divorced at an early age. I guess I was about elementary, middle school. And so I grew up in that kind of austere environment. And because of that, especially with being African American, I kind of gravitated towards professions of respect and authority, high in the socioeconomic hierarchy. And that's probably the I guess, for lack of a better term, the more superficial reasons to become a physician, but nonetheless important and highly respected. And then as I grew up and I realized how well I did academically, as that was kind of the bigger focus in my life, in order to kind of remove myself from any other social situations in my life. And I learned a lot from my mother about work ethic and grinding and staying focused and kind of ignoring negative things. And so I did really well, graduated pretty reasonably high in my high school class. And by then I had done some medical experiences that put me on that track. I was a big science nerd.
Okay.
So my degree is in biology.
Okay.
And I still do quite a bit. Like when we go on a trip, we're always doing something naturey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I still really am into that type of stuff. And then ultimately gravitated towards medicine. I didn't really have an ideal of what type of medicine I wanted to do, but being of a shorter stature, I thought I would relate more to pediatrics.
Okay.
Less
Okay.
intimidating.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, so I went that track for a while. I ultimately got accepted to medical school at Texas Tech University in Lubbock, and went through my first 2 years, which is just school, school textbooks. And then during one of those summers, I actually worked with a pediatrician in that community and realized I just did not want to do pediatrics.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the turnover for how often and how many times you had to see a patient.
Yeah.
And then especially with pediatrics, there's a lot of viruses. There's a lot, and so you don't know specifically what's helping them. They just get better.
Right.
They're young.
Right. Now, do you have kids?
I do have two boys.
Okay. 2 boys. How old are they?
13 and one's about to turn 13, and then one's about to turn 17.
Okay. Hey, you're better than me. When people ask me my kid's age, I'm like, yes.
No,
because I have 3, and they keep changing. I don't know.
Their birthdays are coming up, so
Okay,
I just wanted to figure about.
Awesome.
So to finish the medicine thing, so I actually decided against that, and then started doing surgery rotations, and absolutely fell in love with the hands-on approach,
I gotcha.
the immediate outcome of surgery.
Yeah.
And then I found out about pediatric surgery. And so I kind of gravitated towards that. I could still work with little people, I can do surgery. And so I went down this long track of doing stuff for pediatric surgery.
Okay.
It's actually one of the most competitive specialties of surgery. In fact, there's probably, at least back then, there were at least twice as many applicants as there were programs across the U.S. and including Canada.
Wow.
And so you had to jump through a lot of hoops in order to get into that fellowship. You had to shake hands, you had to network, you had to go to the right places, you had to do the right things. And so you had to at least do all these things to make yourself equivalent to everyone else, and then go beyond that. And so I actually did. So I did my general surgery residency at Texas Tech. I stayed there in Lubbock, and then broke up that residency and did 2 years in Cincinnati.
Okay.
So,
but up to this point, you're a Texas guy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Born and bred.
Yeah. So then you left Texas for Cincinnati.
And loved Cincinnati.
Okay.
And still love Cincinnati because my youngest son is actually born in Cincinnati. And there's a story behind that if you want to hear about it. But did 2 years of there where I did fetal surgery medicine.
Okay.
So I worked with high risk obstetrics and pediatric surgeons that did pre-born surgeries on fetuses.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then I did an ECMO fellowship with them.
Wow.
And did a bunch of research. And so then I came back and then ended up not matching the first year in pediatric surgery fellowship.
So how old are you at this point?
I graduated high school in 2001.
Okay.
And then 4 years of college, so 18, 22, and then another 5 years of residency.
Pushing 30 then?
Yes.
Okay.
And so then I went and did a surgical critical care fellowship in Columbus, Ohio. So we went back to Ohio, just a different part. And I did it at Nationwide Children's and Ohio State University. So they have a combined program that allows you to do adult surgical critical care.
Yeah.
It's just that it's focused at the children's hospital because these people want to do pediatric surgery. Halfway through that, or a third of the way through that, I realized I didn't want to keep doing all this reapplication process and had fallen in love with critical care. So Texas Tech's general surgery program is very heavy in critical care medicine because they have a burn center, they have a big surgical ICU. And so I ended up falling in love with that while I was finishing up my general surgery residency. So I thought, why not do something that could work dual purpose? If I don't want to do the pediatric surgery route, then I can do critical care without
Right.
losing any steps.
Right.
And so I approached um, my program director at that time, probably 3 months or so in, and told him the news. And everybody wants to keep you in their track.
Of course.
They invested in you, but they're very supportive. Everybody
Right.
wants you to do well in life in general.
Sure.
And so he actually adjusted my rotations to where I did quite a bit of it at the Ohio State University.
Nice.
And so I did a lot more adult critical care there than typical. And then ultimately ended up in Wichita Falls.
Yeah. Well, man, we're glad you're here. How long have you been here?
So going on 9 years.
9 years. That's awesome. I knew you've been here for quite some time, and we're sure glad to have you. And I hear, I'll tell you right now, my role is patient experience, director of patient experience. If there's concerns about someone, I know
Sure.
I hear them
That's
regularly,
fair.
and so it's a good thing when your name doesn't come across my office often, only in a good way. Like we hear good things about you from patients and from our staff. Always are supportive and are thankful for you to be here. And I have a very different track in life, but we have one thing that definitely overlapped, and that was I thought I'm an RN, and I thought for sure I wanted to be a pediatric RN when I started. I mean, that's because I did a lot of youth work growing up, and I've got 3 kids. I love working with kids, and I just find it so rewarding. And so I was like a youth pastor at my church, and so I'm like, as I'm becoming a nurse, I'm like, clearly pediatrics is the path for me. And one rotation through acute pediatric unit, and I'm like, nope, I'm out, because first of all, I couldn't handle. I'm a baby when it comes to this. So seeing kids suffering, like I did not handle that well. And
It is a big deal.
And I was like, nope, that's not for me. And so I went back to other areas, but always thought that that's what I wanted to do. It sounded good in theory until I was actually there.
Practice,
And I was like, nope, not for me. I have a special respect for the people that work in that field. Like it's like, man, and everybody has different callings, but it's a different thing for sure. So let me ask you about trauma specifically. A trauma surgeon and you do many things beyond that, of course, but I would like to ask, what does that path require to be a trauma surgeon personally, temperamentally? Do you kind of see as you work with other trauma surgeons, do you see like certain personality types drawn to this? I'm just fascinated by that.
So most general surgeons are very well trained in trauma surgery in general.
Okay.
So nowadays, it's not just trauma, it's acute care surgery as well.
Okay.
So what they tag as acute care surgery. And so what that basically means is all of the sick patients that come through the hospital. So you're not just your traumas, your gunshots, stabs, falls, and car wrecks. That also includes people that are sick from some organ in their body trying to kill them. And so there's their appendix, their colon ruptures, their gallbladder is sick, and so they call us. And so it has transitioned that way. It used to be all general surgeons do this. It's part of their call responsibilities. Over the last 5 to 10 years, it has become there's been an emphasis on work-life balance and things like that. And so gone are the days of significant 24-hour, 3 times in a row, 3 nights in a row call,
Right.
In exchange for this specialized group of physicians or surgeons that deal wholly with this. And it has been significant for work-life balance for all surgeons in general, not just the trauma acute care surgeons, but the general surgeons as well. And it has improved outcomes across the board, because now you have somebody dedicated to this specific disease process in this acute phase of their process. And so that's kind of where it is. And as far as training, like I said, most general surgeons have the background and the training and can probably just go into the field and that role and responsibility right from the get-go. And then that just kind of on the job training where you start to focus on it, you get more and more comfortable with that route and start doing that on a regular basis. From the standpoint of additional training, it's You can do a surgical critical care fellowship, and that has an additional focus in intensive ICU patients. And then you can have a 2-year fellowship that has a acute care surgery or a trauma operative year. And then that focuses on you getting more specific operative experience, because the majority of your surgical critical care fellowship is in the ICU taking care of those patients, not necessarily doing having a focus on the surgery of those patients. And so that's the training for it. And then as far as uh, personality, I would say most of these people are highly analytical and not averse to unpredictability. And so those are kind of the two things that probably stand apart from other surgeons that have routine elective practices where they can schedule a surgeon, know what they're getting for the most part, and then have a game plan going into it. We have a few hours to make a game plan and then figure out what we're dealing with in the operation. And so, and the same disease does not present the same way in every person, and also does not physically manifest the same way. And so you're constantly having to make adjustments or have a much broader skill set for dealing with all sorts of things that may happen during a surgery or whatever you may encounter.
Yeah.
So unpredictability is one thing some surgeons just can't handle. And then just the analytical thinking and the improvisation that somewhat come with this.
I wonder about, you said something earlier that really clicked with me, is your mom. Sounds like an awesome lady, by the way. Is she around here? No.
She lives in Dallas.
Dallas, okay.
She's an awesome lady.
Yeah, she sounds awesome.
Shout out to Mom.
If she's ever here, I want to meet her. But so we have 2 viewers at least. My mom will watch this, and your mom will watch it, and we'll have to. But yeah, if she's ever here, I definitely want to meet Mom. But you said she taught you to focus and ignore the distractions. I can only imagine, right? In all surgical situations, but especially the high stakes. I mean, that's got to be a huge skill set, is the ability to focus and put other things out of your mind.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. It's a skill set that comes with, but I think everybody has the ability to focus. Even the ADHD, they have the ability to focus.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you feel like you can easily focus on? And so whether that's being able to play the same video game for hours at a time, even though there's constantly dynamic things and changes, you're still able to focus on that. You can still focus. And so my hyper focus is the ability to be able to shut out things and then concentrate on taking care of this patient and figuring it out. Now, you tend to figure out things that help you focus more, and kind of drown out some of the distractions and things like that. So like, for me, one of the things I routinely do that probably very few people even notice is I chew gum during a case. And it just kind of lets me relieve tension in my head.
That
and
makes sense.
and so it does that. And but yeah, I think everybody has the ability to focus. It's just truly what is allowed. And that ultimately, I think, if people would realize what their hyper focus is, or what comes natural to them, would help them in their career decisions. And
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely. It would make you so much more successful if you figured out what makes you tick first.
Staying right. Yeah. You're nailing
absolutely.
it. I totally agree. That was actually the line of questioning I wanted to ask you was, I'm fascinated by high performance things, right? And the ability, I've noticed in myself, when I find things that I can truly just like shut everything else out and focus on, that's when I can perform my best. And so I've heard some surgeons say, and I've not talked to a lot, but I've heard some surgeons say, like, man, when I'm in surgery, that's like one of the few times in life that everything else goes away. Stakes are so high. I am flow state locked in.
Oh, sure.
You know,
absolutely.
is that, would you agree with
that?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. So there are times, and most surgeons will kind of comment on this periodically, where you realize nothing else going on the surgery, but when you're done, you realize how tense you were, like how locked your knees were, or how tense your shoulders are, or your ergonomics and things like that. And you want to make corrections later on, but you never realize it. You're so focused on whatever is happening in that procedure and it going right. But a lot of surgeons distract themselves, doing like there's music in the background,
Right.
or they try to have a conversation. They try to lighten the mood to kind
Sure.
of affect
Yeah.
the surgery and things
Yeah.
like that. And I tend to try to do that as well. But yeah, you tend to notice a lot of things just because of how focused and the moment you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Well, the stakes are so high.
Oh, absolutely.
And that begs my next question, which is when you're, doing something that is so high stakes, it requires such a lock in. Do you find in other areas of your life, I don't know how to say this without it sounding bad. I don't mean it bad, but is it hard to maybe find meaning sometimes in other things that aren't as high stakes? Do you run across that at all?
No, let's see. How would I word this? So, you because that is so natural, you tend to gravitate towards those same things.
Mm.
And that can affect your personal life. So, and this is kind of a running gag, I guess, with like my wife. She is a nurse, a background nurse. So she was a postpartum nurse when we
Okay,
were
I
in
didn't realize that.
medical school.
I had the privilege of meeting her the other day. Her office is right around the corner from
Yes,
me,
yes,
so it
she's
was
now started working at the
yeah,
hospital. But
cool.
she was a postpartum nurse,
Okay.
and she was working and through med school and things like that. And then she became a stay-at-home mom, and then she went back to as needed school nursing, and now she works kind of at the hospital doing administrative stuff. And it was kind of this during probably the more contentious parts of our relationship that the I would come home and I would need like something done or ask for something done. I was like, why don't I just write an order for it? And so there would just be
Didn't go. That didn't go well.
it didn't. I think a pan flew at me or something like that. But you go home and you still have the same mentality of
right.
all of the hierarchy of order in the hospital, and then you go home and you have kids that absolutely do not listen to you.
Right. Yeah, you're not.
Nothing is orderly, and so you end up having that. Be your less desirable situation, and you either start having us like spend all this time doing more things at the hospital or gravitating back towards that which is natural and comfortable and convenient. And so then you stop dealing with the things that are important at home or trying to make the adjustments that are necessary to build a good relationship or have a strong relationship with your children and things like that. And so you do notice that stuff ultimately. And I think that has been kind of one of those things over, 20 years of marriage and raising two kids that we have continued to work on and things like that. So
That's awesome. Well, just seeing that, acknowledging it, figuring out how to work through it. I mean, that's huge because, man, I've seen it. I've been in United Rangers for 20 years, and about, 17 of those I've been working closely with providers. And usually when things start going wrong with the provider, my first question is, what's going on at home?
yeah, sure.
Almost every time, because it's like, what's going on at home? Because this came out of nowhere. Providers are humans. When your life's falling apart at home, it falls apart at work too. And so it's a huge part of success is like, man, I gotta be on point, not just here, but at home. I couldn't help but think of, there's an old Will Ferrell SNL skit where he's sitting around the table and, his kids are like giving him grief about something, and he's like, I'm a big deal. I drive a Dodge Stratus, and he's like, I'm respected at work, and his kids are like rolling their eyes. Anyway, I digress. Let me ask you a couple more questions. We're already running out of time, and I got so many questions to ask you, which is a bummer. But
we can do a part two.
We can, for sure. We'll do part two. And I think I probably know, but I want to ask, what's the hardest part of the role? Like the hardest part of what you do?
I think it goes back to just balancing. So you want to do all the things that. So I love the patient care aspect of this, and I think if I find it the easiest, the most natural, the least stressful, as crazy as that sounds, as opposed to my administrative roles. That's not the normal for me. I feel like people have given me these roles or offered me these roles because they see something in me that translates to taking on a leadership role. Right. But it's not the most natural for me. And
it's the curse of doing a good job.
Correct.
You do a good job, they go, hey, let's
absolutely.
add this on.
And so that's probably the the more difficult part of my job and my life. And so, and then the other part of that is I love the patient care aspect of my life. And so that I tend to have that as a high priority. And that sometimes can affect your personal life.
Sure.
And fortunately, I have my wife who has been through me through all through medical school, residency, and so she has a understanding of how my personality is and how I prioritize, how I take care of my patients, and has been absolutely the most wonderful person in supporting me through that, and you know, fielding all of the household stuff and raising children wonderfully into contributing members of society.
What a blessing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a
It has made my life so much better, and in turn affected and improved all of the things I do from a professional standpoint.
Yeah. All right. So
shout out to Karen.
Yeah. Shout out. Shout out to the wife. Absolutely. So that's maybe the worst or the hardest part. What's the most exciting part? Like the thing that gets you fired up the most, makes you happy?
Patient outcomes, I guess in the general sense of the words, but because I take care of really sick patients, and just being able to have a direct impact in how they heal, how they recover, is what allows me to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And make the exhaustion, the stress worthwhile.
Worth it.
In fact, being in Wichita Falls, which is a smaller community where you tend to run into the same patients or the families that you see or take care of on a regular basis, it was invigorating. We were just at an event last night, and someone came over and they said, actually, two people that night I had taken care of, or they knew somebody I had taken care of, and the one had a really bad skin reaction after service. She's still internally grateful, and she expressed that. And then one person came over and said, "Oh, you took care of the ex-wife, family friend of this," and so far removed, but they told me how she was doing and expressed how wonderfully she had, appreciative of me and things like that. And that's motivating.
Yeah, it's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes me say I did a good job despite how much, how long their recovery was, how critical they were, that they were still so grateful, and that they had at least a reasonable outcome. And so that's exciting.
That's awesome. Exciting. Well, I can't imagine. I mean, I people have this funny thing that I say funny. It's probably not funny, but I have something I say. People like, "Hey, how's your day going?" I'm like, just saving lives. I'm just being silly. I'm a part of an organization that saves lives, but. And I've done CPR and saved a life or two, in the last 20 years, but that's pretty rare. It's more metaphorical when I say saving lives. But you can actually say, no, I actually saved somebody's life today. And then that person comes up to you and says, you saved my life. I think that's probably the male fantasy right there. It's somebody walks up in public and goes, that guy saved me. That's pretty cool, man. It's got to be rewarding.
It is absolutely rewarding. And I want to also give a shout out to everybody that helps me do that. Because and I'll liken it to pre-hospital medical services, so EMS, that save lives with very little things. And they bring them to the hospital alive, as opposed to with very little things in the most austere environments, in a ditch with no lighting, whatever it is. And they get to the hospital, and I'm able to continue that process with the help of everybody around me. I can't do the surgery without the anesthesiologist, the whole anesthesia team, the person handing me the instruments, the person running to get more stuff for me, the circulating nurse, the people that are taking care of the patient afterwards or before. And so it really is an organization saving lives. And I think that doesn't go, that goes unheard quite a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my kind of core beliefs and phrases I say all the time is we win or lose together. It's the power of the team. Johnny Roberts was on here a few months ago, and I was asking him about his job and his favorite parts and those things. And one of the things he said is he realized very early on the power of teams. If you can put a good team together, you can do anything. It's you can literally get anything done if you can put the right group of people with the right mindset. They're aligned on the same goal. You can get anything done. So we have what a cool trauma team that we have. Shout out to the whole team is incredible. I won't start naming names because I'll forget somebody, but I want One more quick question. I think we're gonna wrap it up right after this.
Okay.
But if you could put a billboard up in Wichita Falls with a message from the trauma team,
Oh, okay.
or any message really,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that would help the community. What would you think? What would you like to get out there to everybody?
I would just say, come on down, y'all.
Yeah.
But I think Wichita Falls has a lot to offer. It is just there's just not been growth, and if the population would go up, then we would be able to support the local businesses who have a high turnover, just because there's not a dense population to go to those places like in Dallas where you have so many people in this one block that they can support this one business.
Right.
And there's been a lot of really nice small businesses, local businesses just have not been able to survive.
It's a bummer.
And and that would help grow everything, the community, the medical community, and then the business side of things. And I think that is probably one of the more desirable things that if you want to continue to be enticing, you need to grow. And so, and it's a beautiful environment, and I'd like to see that happen just from the long-term standpoint. But the hospital's fine. I mean, the resources are excellent, and they will grow in turn. So I have nothing that I want to do for the hospital. I want to
grow the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask you this and I forgot. We're level 2 trauma designation.
That's
is that correct?
correct.
What is that for anybody that doesn't know what that means? We say that a lot, but I think there's probably a lot of people like, oh, what does that mean? What does that mean, and what's the significance for Wichita Falls?
So a level 2 trauma center, so there are designations: level 1, level 3, level 2, level 3. Those are the major designations. Level 3 just means basically you have a some regulation to how you're doing your traumas and things like that. Level 2 is a huge step up. There's all sorts of regulations, protocols in place that are looked at from a regional level, and then patient outcomes are monitored a lot closer. Level 1 is not much different from a level 2, with the exception of teaching and research. And that does help with patient outcomes, but not to the degree that you necessarily would believe. And so level 2 are just as good as level 1s, minus a few specific specialties, and then research and residency programs and things like that. And so a level 2 is pretty significant for this region, and for this region in particular that has a kind of a wide catch with rural areas and places that don't have hospitals or have closing hospitals. Then it's significant for us to be able to have this area for that. And the trauma center reaches far and wide. It sometimes helps with reimbursement. It increases some of the reimbursement from Medicaid and Medicare, and then also increases how much the state refunds for self-pay or non-insured. There's a reimbursement specific because you're a trauma center. And so, but it also provides a service for other places, and it builds kind of a foundation for recruiting certain things like interventional radiologist or something, or orthopedic surgeons and things like that. And so it helps kind of add a foundation to build upon that would also provide other services for other things to the community and the region.
Yeah. Any PSAs you want to get out there from the trauma standpoint, or anything we haven't talked about that you want to cover?
So, obviously it's getting warm outside, and so motorcycle and ATVs, golf carts, all of those, certainly be safe, do the right thing, do things without being, intoxicated or under an influence. Just be safe, guys. And then obviously swimming and things like that. Make sure everybody's supervised, watch the kiddos, things like that. So
yeah. Do you I can only imagine being the son of a trauma surgeon. Like I know every emergency department, ICU and surgeon, all those people are like, no motorcycles, no ATVs, helmets. Are you you've been pretty strict on that with your boys, or no?
So we've never had a trampoline.
Okay.
When I was at the pediatric hospital, I saw some really terrible liver lacerations. And so we've never had a trampoline. We've had a bounce house. That was the compromise.
Good, yeah.
I won't let my kids really ride with other kids in a golf cart,
Yeah.
or an ATV.
You're seeing too much, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just you don't know how that other person is going to behave,
100%.
and you can't control that situation. You're not gonna prohibit them from doing it,
Right.
but you can protect your
Right.
child from doing it, or at least control the environment as much as
Sure.
possible. I'm not a restrictive parent by any means, but I do have some things that I know from experience that I try to
It's
impart
just not
to my
worth the
kids.
risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just there are other things, other alternatives and things
Right.
that you can do as well.
You can mitigate. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
But live life.
For sure.
YOLO.
Yeah, amen. Amen to that. Well, it's been awesome having you on today, man. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you.
It was fun.